Hello Wall Stadium. This 1/3 mile banked oval circuit is one of the most intimidating drift layouts of the VDC season. High banking clip 1 requires huge commitment and aggression to follow that knife-edged wall. Severe compression off the bank into the infield will test your setup of your car, and the outside zones within the figure 8 will test your tandem ability. This layout requires huge risk, but that reward is worth it when you get that win. So very excited to be back at Wall Stadium for this season of Virtual Championships. It's been a couple of seasons since we last competed on Wall Stadium. Speedway. This circuit is actually quite an interesting one. It's not used in real life drift competition anymore, but it's always a blast to drive, and it's very, very exciting to see it back again on the VDC season. So without further ado, let's head straight into qualifying. So here we go for our second qualifying run. We got a 92.3 in the first run. This one gets us 95, and as you can see straight away, right on top of the wall, on the top of the bank, as we go all the way to the end, transition off of it down to the crossover, through clip 3, and maintaining the back wheel on that white line all the way to the end of that clipping zone, crossing through 4, now transitioning over the hump into 5, and as we transition into 6 into the last clipping point over the finish line. Yeah, a very good run there from us, a 95.3 for that second qualifying run. Yeah, like I said, it's nice to have Wall Stadium back. It's a very interesting track. It's a track that requires a lot of commitment, a lot of aggression, like I mentioned already, and being on the wall at the very, very start is a key part of this run that not many drivers will really utilize. So that's something to keep out for the remainder of this video, is that lead line, being on that wall from the very, very start the second you initiate, as it in my eyes, and I suppose the judges' eyes too, it's crucial to being able to have a very, very chaseable, predictable and repeatable lead run. Okay, so for top 32 we had Alexander Simucube from Ukraine. We battled Alexander at last event in the top 16, but now we have him again in top 32, and as you can see, Alexander dives straight up on the inside and actually nearly overtakes us on initiation, but he has a really, really good chase run here as he transitions to the clip 3 behind us and really pushes all the way to the end of clipping zone 3 as he now go through clipping point 4, and we're going to transition into 5 here, and he's right there with us. Look at him, he's pushing us across the finish line. Wow, look at that, what a chase run from Alexander Simucube. But our lead run, again, like I mentioned already, right on the wall from the start, and as you can see now, we're swapped positions. We're now going to chase in Alexander, and one thing I want to point out here is that we actually maintain the same line as he does, but he's quite low down on the bank for the first half of the bank, and as we transition back across here, we're really maintaining the angle and the line that he carries. And that's one thing I want to point out. Like, yes, we don't have the proximity, but we do match his angle quite well and the line that he takes quite well. Whereas Alexander on his chase run was cutting a bit of line in places. He was not angle matching and in other areas. And I mean, you could argue too that on initiation he had 2 wheels over the yellow line on initiation when chasing, which could be deducted as a wheel over a yellow line, which I didn't do. So I do think those are the differences, and I think that's probably why we got the win for that one. So on to the great 16 we go, and we're up against Augusto Ferreira from Brazil, and Augusto, a good buddy of mine. And one thing I want to point out here is obviously Augusto making a little error on initiation, which kind of was the biggest deciding factor in this run. Yes, Augusto had a really good aggression, as you can see in the chase run, but his lead run is not as clean as ours, and I think our chase run is not as aggressive, but definitely a little bit cleaner. And we do kind of really apply the pressure near the end there, but as you can see, we gain a gap on the left hand side of the screen on our lead run, and yeah, we got the win from that. Great battle there with Augusto and his first time in the Mustang RTR, but yeah, we move on into the grade 8, and we're seeing double. That is right, we're up against Reese Tatterson, our esports Protoss Academy teammate, in the top 8, and here we go, leading in Reese. Reese is right there with us, a little bit shallow on the bank, a little bit less angle, but he really does point all the aggression onto this lower bank section, the infield section, as he really gets with us right there, touching doors as Reese comes up to the transition point. He's now going to set himself up once again back onto the door. A bit of a stab there, but our lead run is pretty clinical, and as he center punches the last clipping point, Reese does. Yeah, not really the cleanest of chase runs. Reese could have done a little bit better there, but let's see what we can do in the chase run. Can we do a cleaner or a better job? And as we flick in with Reese, we maintain the same line and angle as he does. We're not as close, but we're actually higher up on the bank than what he is. We transition through the infield section, and we now go to clip 3, and we're really starting to close up onto Reese. This is the thing when you have the same cars. You do struggle sometimes to really find a little edge over your teammate because you have the same thing. You can't really catch him in certain areas. And as we kind of get onto the last zone here, we really do close up the proximity. And I think you look at the 2 runs back to back, you can see that there is a difference between the 2 runs. And, you know, you can see that Reese's run was a little bit more aggressive, but he was lacking a bit of precision, a bit of cleanliness through his chase run. And I think the lead run lacked a tiny bit of that as well. So, I mean, yeah, it could have argued that it could have gone one more time, but I don't really think Reese did enough there to stretch it in his advantage. So I think it's maybe a week one more time, but I feel like that we did do enough overall to get the win and get one over our teammate once again. So yeah, great battle with Reese. Great to have a nice battle, but it would be better if we could meet a little bit later on in competition. I'm sure you all would agree. Okay, top 4 time against Robert Kavinsky. And yeah, Robert obviously leading the championship at this point going into this particular battle right here. So we're really after gapping him off the line. He's after doing a big dive on initiation, but we're right on the wall up at the start of the first zone. And we transition to the infield, and Robert is really now starting to apply the pressure. He's now pushing us as he come through clip 4 right now to the inner clip, and he will transition across over the hump into clip 5. Robert's right there with us. He's pushing us, but he's not really angle matching. He's kind of stabbing at our door a little. So I know going into this next run, we had a bit of a gap on initiation. So I need to make sure I clean up on that gap from his chase run. And obviously the mistake over the finish line as well, the angle matching. And we right there with him, and he over-rotates. He actually over-rotates there, and we end up matching him, but having to cut out of it, because otherwise we're going to cause contact. And as we transition into clipping point 3 here, we're going to follow the line all the way around. I think actually Robert dropped the wheel over a white line there, which is obviously a wheel deduction. And we're transitioning to the infield here, and I'm just trying to catch back up to him. Obviously he had a bit of a momentum pull on us after the mistake on the bank. And as we click to another replay camera here, we can actually see that Robert does have a big wobble on the bank. Maybe not as big as it shows from the live stream or vice versa, but it was definitely enough to throw me off guard on the chase run, and I do think that is the main reason why the judges gave it in our favour. You know, I went in there committed to Robert. I knew he was going to initiate low on the bank because he'd been doing that all event, and I knew that I had to get there right there with him. And this particular run, he went a little bit wider, and I think he realised he was going to hit the wall and had to back out of it. And obviously I had to adjust my line a small bit, which really messed me up. I wasn't really expecting having to do that to avoid contact, and he obviously gained a bit of a gap advantage over us. So yeah, we get the win and we move on into the finals. So here we go, final time against Zach O'Sullivan. He actually gaps us off the line a little bit, but we're not going to let that hesitate. We're going to dive straight back onto his door again. And obviously Zach a little bit slow to get up to the top of the bank. Running that wall, we take the bumper off the Supra. We transition into clipping point 3 here, and Zach is giving us a lead run and a half here. We're going to give him a little tap on the door right there. Look at that. Transition over the hump for one last time for our chase run, and we're really pushing him and diving onto his door here for the last corner and over that line. What a battle there that was. Obviously Zach doing a great job in the lead run, and he's now going to have to apply the pressure in the chase run. And what can we do in the lead run? Here we go. We launch it in back onto the wall from the very start. The wing hangs over the wall the whole way around, higher up on the bank than what Zach was. Zach transitions onto the door on the inside and has to back out of it, but manages to clean it up on the final clipping point 3 outer zone here. And as you go through the infield once again for the last time, we transition out to clipping point 5. And then we go in. Oh, a bit of a contact there from Zach in the chase run as we cross the finish line. And I do think that was a mistake on my behalf. Might not look so obvious from the live stream camera, but I'll throw in the camera from a above view from my replay that I did record, and you can see that as I touched left foot brake, the car kind of pitches angle a little bit differently. And yeah, obviously Zach couldn't predict that and ended up hitting us in the front wheel. So yeah, that was a mistake on our behalf. Judges ended up giving Zach the win on that one, putting fault on us for that causing that contact, which yeah, I completely understand. I completely respect the call, and I do think it was the right call, to be honest, because it was a mistake on my behalf. I didn't need to left foot brake there, but I did it out of habit. And for some reason, the cars did not like reacting to that particular input. So yeah, Zach gets the win for the final here in round 5 of VDC at Wall Stadium. And we come in second place. We're now jumped to second in points. We're now 30 or so points behind Zach O'Sullivan, who now leads it. The statistic states that, well, in past, whoever leads the championship into the final round wins it. So let's see, can we change that? So that is where we're going to end this video. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again in a few weeks' time for round 6, the finals of Virtual Championship for 2023 season. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Make sure you guys subscribe, follow the channel for more, and we will see you guys in a few weeks' time. Peace.